you so much for being here today. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Hello. I don't know why I'm waving. But I am R.A. Johnson, publishing Affinity for Pain, which is book 1 of the Newborn City series. Book 2 will be coming soon. I know that I had a lot of people get on me about that. This is my first book. It is a dark paranormal romance, but I have been writing in some form or another since I was in kindergarten. So I'm not very new at that part. This is just my first instance of, okay, I'm doing it. And I just decided to publish the book and stop waiting for people.
I love that. What is your book about? Can you go into a little more detail?
Yes. As most authors will probably tell you, I hate having to sum up an entire book. I write novels for a reason, not short stories. But essentially what happens is you are introduced to the world of Newborn City, where demons are real and mythological creatures, twists and variations of them exist, and their presence has just been made known to the world. And so we follow one of them in particular, Hope, who is an assassin, and her job up until this point that she believed was to be hunting down people who don't like demons for the company. And she was not really asking a lot of questions, just went about her business and did her job. And it opens with her on what would appear to be a normal hit. But as she gets there to, take out the guy, it turns out that he is her soulmate, which exists for her specific race of demons, which is called the Shakal, which I'm glad I can help people know how to pronounce that word because I know pronunciations are always a thing. And so, yeah, she gets to the rooftop. Turns out that this is her fated mate. And she's like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? I have to redo everything that I was trying to do. No, I'm not about this. She completely freaks out. She still wants to kill him because she's like, nah, I enjoyed not having feelings and sensations. Because at that point, she's had no physical sensations. One of the bonuses being no pain. And this connection that I call Omeriku comes with the lovely advantage of not just having the ability to feel pain and sensation now, but getting to feel his pain too. And so it starts with Kieran, that's the male love interest, bumping his knee on the underside of the desk and her feeling it. And she's like, I hate this. This is awful. And so she still tries to go through with killing him. It does not happen, as you would imagine, because then there'd be no book. And he has a lot of baggage that he is personally working through. He was, as it turns out, a victim of her ex-boss, the guy who took the hit out on him, which would be why he took a hit out on him, because he hates him. Well, it's a complicated relationship. He's obsessed with him, and because he left, he's kind of angry. And so Kieran has a lot of stuff to work through, and they come together, they make it happen. It does have a happy for now. The main overarching story is still going, but the couple gets their life.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. What inspired you to write your book?
This sounds silly. A dream. I had a dream that the small snippet that I could remember once I woke up was this woman was sensing her mate's pain, that she could find him because he was missing because of that connection. And my brain was just like, that's cool. Let's go somewhere with it. And it just expanded into this whole world because now I have 10 books planned. I'm working on book 3. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I'm farther on book 3.
I love that. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to like who your book's for?
So I personally am a big fan and had made my introduction into the spicy book world. She's actually behind me, through J.R. Ward. And so I really liked the way the characters in her books behaved. They seemed gritty and real, and they cursed and they drank, and they didn't have this glossy perfection that a lot of characters do. They're messy, they're scarred. And I liked that concept because I wanted there to be a book that was spicy and people had sex and they drank and they cursed, but it also showcased that no matter what setting they're in, people are just people. We're flawed. We have things to work through. We can be remarkably brave. We can be remarkably stupid. So I wanted to give something to people who enjoy fantasy and paranormal romance, but want their characters to be darker, want their characters to be more adult, more flawed, and watch them through an actual character arc growth and not just be like, look, they banged. That was fun. Although those books are great too.
How long have you been writing?
Writing, yeah, like in some form or another, including dictation when I was small, since kindergarten. I've been doing it forever. I would say once I finally was like, okay, was in college when I changed my major to professional writing. And now I do that for a living. I don't get to write for fun just yet, not published, just authored yet, but I write for websites and create their content and stuff like that.
That's amazing. I love that. What made you really sit down and start to write Affinity for Pain?
I think I had just read one of the J.R. Ward books and probably another vampire book because I'm obsessed with vampires and another magic book and like I was just thinking to myself that, you've been creating stories in your brain and sometimes writing them down since you were little. It's like the air you breathe. You love doing this. So do it. Write the whole thing down. Make the commitment and get it out there. Because you have this story in your brain and it needs to get out and it needs to live somewhere. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And I wrote it actually by hand the first time. I didn't type it or anything like that. I had attempted to write a novel once when I was in 8th grade and lost my book because of a computer malfunction. So I think maybe I was like, I can't lose paper. So I'm just going to write it by hand and then I'll type it later, which actually did work out in terms of editing. Because I found all of my original gaps and flaws because I had to transfer onto the computer. But yeah.
What's your schedule like when you're writing a book?
So this is interesting because now I'm starting to realize how quickly we do want to put stuff out. And I have never had to stick to a release date before. Affinity for Pain was done when I decided to publish it. The next step was just finding an editor. And I gave myself so much time. I started that process in the beginning of the year, like January, I think. And I was like, and I should have it done by October 21st, which is my birthday. And I was like, that'll be my birthday present to myself. And I'm realizing now too with book 2, which is technically done, it just needs, some love. And now being on book 3, I'm like, I need to write faster. Because I have never been on a schedule before. I've just been able to do it however I wanted. So it's tricky. I do find the biggest piece of advice that I still listen to, honestly, and I've talked about it a little bit before, is that you can't just write when you're inspired. You have to try to schedule it in and really, truly do it. So at this point, I'm working on a serial as well, and I make sure that at least, it's one part per week gets written. And if I, can keep going with that schedule, I was like, well, you only need 17 parts to make it work. So in theory, that's 17 weeks. That's not too bad. Of course, now I'm involved in like 4 other projects because I can't help myself.
I love that. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
So I have to have music on. I know that some people need silence. If I can hear my brain, I I will completely lose it. So I have to put music on. And usually I'm very particular with the type of music I put on. Like Affinity for Pain has a playlist, which I did include in the book. And Burn the Bone has a playlist, which I will include. And Calling Evil Forth has a playlist. And I have to listen to, that's the name of the third one. Spoilers. um, uh, that I have to put on while I'm listening to that essentially just is the correct mood and makes me think of the characters based on like the lyrics. Cause again, writer, I listen to the lyrics a lot and some of them have been instrumental. I find that that is more what I listen to when I'm creating like the high fantasy stories and stuff. Most of them are gritty music that is aggressive, like Nine Inch Nails. But yeah, music. I gotta have music and coffee and occasionally whiskey if I'm really stuck on edits.
I love that. I will say that I have had a sneak peek at your playlist and it is amazing for Affinity.
Yeah, they go in that order too. And I know that it'll take longer to read necessarily than how it plays out in the thing, but you'll know which songs are right when you get there. You'll be like, oh, it's this one.
I love that. And it gives it so much, it gives it a little extra as you're reading.
Yeah.
Next question was, what is your favorite writing snack or drink?
Okay, yes, coffee, need caffeine. I'm a mom of two, need all the things to stay awake. I am also, yes, I like whiskey. I may be a little bit guilty of write drunk, get it sober. I don't get drunk. I have two kids, but I definitely am like, yes, writer's helper. Help the ideas flow. But I am also a big tea fan as well. Even just the act of making tea, of boiling the water and putting the tea bag in the cup can help like calm me down if I've had a rough day. It's a little bit like being a heroin addict, except for far less destructive.
I love that. What books do you enjoy reading?
I love dark fantasy romance, paranormal romance. I like when stuff's a little bit messed up. I also just enjoy fantasy in general. That's what I grew up on was fantasy and sci-fi. My parents are huge fantasy sci-fi fans. And I think the first book that ever really hit me and stuck with me was by Robin McKinley, called The Hero and the Crown. It's the book that like I have to withhold myself from like going and grabbing it and talking about it because I love it so much. And so that led me down the path of, is there magic? Is there dragons? Is there weirdness? Cool, I'm in. And I very much recently discovered the realm of monster smut, which is amazing.
It definitely is. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Yes, I would say, as I talked about, I started reading J.R. Ward, but the other big one that I was like, I can't believe in just 183 pages, I think is the length of the book. In just 183 pages, you made me do that. And so Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite people on the planet, and I would absolutely fangirl all over the place if I were to meet him. And it's Ocean at the End of the Lane was one of the first ones I read. And I was just like, how did you do that? How did you do that so fast? Your writing is so evocative and amazing, and you do it so succinctly. You don't drag anything on. So he inspired me a lot. His style of just action, moving into action, capturing emotion through action. It's clippy. It moves around. It moves at a good pace. And Clack Clack Rattlebags is still one of the scariest things I've ever written read. And it's the shortest story. Like it's in Trigger Warnings, his collection, but it's so short and I was like terrified. So he definitely is a huge influence.
I love that. What type of books did you grow up reading? Did you have a favorite?
So yeah, Hero and the Crown was my first. Fantasy sci-fi was really big. I want to say, again, one of the first ones that I really caught my attention was I want to say it's Chasing Dragons series. I would need to look it up again, but it had a big old dragon on the cover, and I read the whole series in like a week, and I was obsessed with it. And of course, I got to the Harry Potter phase. Um, I found that my taste matured quickly. But I was 11 when he was 11 when the book came out, so it kind of like worked. But by the time the last one came out, I was definitely reading darker stuff now because I've matured through that very quickly, and I found like demons and vampires and stuff, and like the Kim Harrison series. I read all of those really quickly, and Sunshine by Robin McKinley is her vampire book, and it is so wholly different than what most vampire books like. There is sexual tension, but it's heartbreaking and it's not good. And there's not this like, oh, and he's so pretty because he's a vampire. It's like, no, he looks effed up. It's not good, guys. And oh, it's so good. And I think still to this day on her website it says there will be no book 2 because so many people are like, can we hear more of this story? And she's like, no, I ended it there for a reason.
On the opposite side, now as an adult, what's your favorite series or series author? I know you might have touched on it.
Right. Oof. Okay, so I do like the J.R. Ward books, of course, but I would say that the other big ones that like really got me, especially lately when I'm recording this, are the Yaga's Writers series by Corinne Rochelle, C. Rochelle. They're so good. It is definitely smut for sure, but it's like witchy and dark, and the use of Slavic mythology to have her be like the Baba Yaga was so cool. I loved that so much. If it's a fairy tale retelling in some type of way or involved with mythology, I'm in. Like 2 thumbs way up. Like she did the 12 Hunks of Herculea, which is a spin on the 12 Labors, which is amazing. And I love Naomi Novik's Spinning Silver and Uprooted and The Beast. Like, and if it's a fairy tale or has mythology and then it gets sexy, I'm in.
I love that. What would you tell someone who's just starting out with reading again?
Take your time. I've done that too. Having 2 kids and recovering after having a kid usually, weirdly enough, makes me like not want to read because my brain is just so tired that I want to just nap. So when I personally got back into reading, I was like, what should I start with? Should I start with this book that's been sitting here on my TBR for a really long time? Should I go with something that's like epic and powerful and is supposed to be incredibly moving? And I ended up going with a short novella that was entirely monster smut. And I think it was kind of the way to go because it made me remember why I like reading so much. And it didn't feel heavy and it didn't feel like I needed to earn this book by reading it. And I was like, nope, it was really fast and it was sexy and I'm happy. So something that gets you in a good mood.
I love that. That's so important. What would you tell someone on the opposite side of that who's just starting out to write their own book?
Well, to put it as not gently as I possibly can, write the damn book. Fucking sit down and do it. And don't write when you're hot, write when you're cold, write all whenever you can. Try to schedule it. I realize life is a thing, so things will happen. But if it's on your calendar and it says from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'm going to write today, your chances of doing it exponentially increase. So give it a shot. And who cares what anybody else thinks? Write the book that you want to read. Worry about grammar and flow and pacing and character development later. Just get the plot out first. Try to go in chronological order, because when you don't, I've made this mistake. When you don't, you go, where does this scene go? Fuck, how do I lead up to this? Shit. So yeah, try to go in chronological order. And if you're a hella pamster, give it a shot. But if you get stuck, outlines are helpful. They're there for a reason because you know, okay, the story is supposed to move here next. And as a once pantser, they're helpful. It's helpful to plan. As much as it can be less fun, it's helpful. So do it.
Love that. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
This is that I'm have two kids and I'm 35. Nobody expects that when they see me. They're like, you are older and are a mom? And I'm like, yes, both those things. I think most of the time I wear a lot of my personality on my sleeve. I have crazy colored hair. I have tattoos. I have piercings. So that part's not too surprising. I think maybe it is a little bit like, oh, I didn't know that I have also, I did my homework. I read all the classics. I know why they're there. There are some that are great. There are some that suck. That I'm like, why is this on our reading list for school? It's awful. This book is boring. Molly Flanders, get out of here. but Frankenstein is great, and I've read it like 5 times. So yeah, mostly that I'm older and that I am a mom and that I have like normal mom things I have to do.
I love that you bring that up because in this video as we're recording, you can't see it, but I have blue hair. So I'm a mom too. So it's definitely when you're walking with your kid, they're like, are you the mom?
Yeah, I'm not like a crazy babysitter. I am your mom. I go pick her up from school pretty much every day because Erin just started preschool. Although she should be in kindergarten, it's a whole thing. She missed the cutoff by a day. I'm very upset about it. And whenever I go pick her up, there's always like 1 or 2 other moms that are also like goth and tatted and stuff. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And we kind of like do the, yes, I see you. Whereas other people are like all dressed up and look fantastic to go pick up their child from school. I'm like, how are you wearing heels right now? I'm walking home. No, it's 100 degrees outside. I live in Vegas. Don't do this.
I love that you bring that up. Tennis shoes all the way for me.
No. I wore heels to an event the other day and I was like, fuck. I remember I hate these.
Is there anything else you would like to say or add?
I think that thanks for anybody who's been into Affinity for Pain and picked up an ARC and picked up a book. I did not know how this was going to go. And I, at this point in time, still don't. But when it comes out, I will know. And I'm just happy that I have found the support of other authors and of people in the community who are willing to take a chance on a newbie. I promise I did all of my homework and I have put my heart and soul into the book. So it's not a one-off. It's not a joke. I really do want you to read it. I think it's really good.
I love that you bring that up. And I just want to do a shout out because I got one of your little PR kits and the stickers are amazing.
Thank you. I designed them myself.
So
yeah, indie publishing is wearing all the hats. I did the cover, I do the merch, I do all of my socials. So yeah, it's a one-woman show.
I love that you bring that up. Would you be willing to touch on like your experience with the ARC side of things and how you did all of that, since it is a lot for some people?
Yeah. So I was able to learn vicariously through people pretty quickly, weirdly enough, thanks to TikTok, of all places. But Book Talk has been actually pretty helpful because I was able to see other authors and hear them pitch ARCs and get ARCs from them through BookFunnel. And I was like, oh, BookFunnel. Okay, what is this? Because I was just emailing people copies of my books, which is a terrible way to do it. Don't do that. And so that was nice because I was able to sign up for that service and see how valuable it is. And I was like, man, I wouldn't have known about this if it weren't for taking a chance on TikTok. And again, as a 35-year-old, I'm like, this is weird. Am I supposed to be on here? But I just leaned into it and I was like, you know what? We're all goofy MFers. Let's go for it. So BookFunnel is very useful for ARCs, and they will remind your ARC recipients to do their review. And they also will save all the emails. So if you're like me and you sent out ARCs like way early, you can remind them again when it gets closer to the book release date. Because I didn't know what the response was going to be. I ended up getting way more ARCs than I thought, like ARC responses than I thought I would get. And was like, oh, I need to close them. I didn't realize I was going to fill up so fast. Close those.
I remember you saying that. I think it was on Instagram or TikTok where you brought up that you were ending up having to close them because they did fill up.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, this, okay. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you were interested. This is really cool. Please do leave a review if you like it. Also read the trigger warnings, just throwing that out there. As stated pretty much everywhere that I have things, dark paranormal romance. So there's stuff in there. And none of it is done for glorification or weirdness. Me personally, I've been through some stuff that the book helped me get through, helped me live vicariously through some of the characters who, take that experience and punch it in the nads. So it's not for fun, but I didn't include it because I thought it'd be such a good time. But yes, so check the trigger warnings.
I love that you said that because I know that a lot of people forget to check them. And then sometimes it comes back on the author for, well, I didn't know, but it's right in the beginning of the book usually.
Yes, and I think that I had formatted the interior before I had um kind of realized more about how aggressive you should be with warning people. Um, so I think with book two, I will restate them again, but they are all on my website, rajohnsonbooks.com, and you can find them there. Because yes, one of the few at this point negative reviews that I have received for the book was just essentially saying this is very trigger heavy and I wasn't prepared. And although I think that person did read the trigger warnings as well, and they just say, yeah, and it's not for everybody. I know that. I am okay with some people not wanting to read about that. That is completely okay with me. Don't want to corrupt anybody's taste or anything like that. But yes, please read them. There's stuff in there.
I love it. I love it so much. Where is the best place for readers to find your book? I know a lot of readers love signed copies. Is that an option and the best place that they can connect with you?
Yes. So my book is through Ingram Sparks. So it is available everywhere you want it. You can request it from your local bookstore. You can get it from the library if you request it. It is Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Kobo, Apple Books, Playbooks. It's all the places. You can get signed copies as well on my website, and they will also come with swag and goodies and fun stuff, just like the ARC people received. Stickers and bookmarks and fun stuff. And there's lots of swag on there too. If you've already purchased a book and you just want some fun stuff, there's a bunch of stuff like that on there as well. So my website is a great place to get a hold of me. You can email me at info@rejohnsonbooks.com. You can also find me pretty much on all the socials as Ari Johnson author. I think on Tumblr, it's actually the Gilded Typewriter still. I'm not as active on there anymore. But yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us and telling us more about you and your book. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I hope that lots of people enjoy and find lots of awesome books to make those TBRs giant.